The Adoshan female's hearts race as the human male's ship touches down. Centuries of tales warning of humanity's aggressive mating practices flood their minds, but curiosity mingles with their fear. Captain Mina stands at the forefront of her crew, her tall, slender blue form tense as she watches the airlock of the human vessel. The bioluminescent markings on her skin pulse with anxiety. Behind her, 4999 Adoshan women huddle together, their own markings flickering in synchrony. The crash of their colony ship, the Zephyr, on this uncharted planet has left them vulnerable. Their distress beacon, a desperate cry for help, has attracted what they now fear may be their doom. As the airlock hisses open, Mina steels herself for the encounter. A figure emerges from the ship. Patrick Lewis, a rugged human male in his early 30s, steps onto the alien soil. His presence immediately commands attention. Mina's eyes widen as she takes in his form, so different from the monstrous creatures described in Adoshan lore. "I'm here to help," Patrick's voice carries across the distance between them, deep and steady. "I picked up your distress signal." Mina hesitates, her ingrained fear warring with the necessity of their situation. The harsh environment of this planet poses an increasing threat to her people. With a deep breath, she steps forward. "I am Captain Mina of the Adosian colony ship Zephyr," she announces, her voice betraying a slight tremor. "We accept your assistance." Patrick nods, his eyes scanning the damaged Zephyr. "I'm a deep space surveyor. I have experience with various ship systems. Let's see what we can do to get you folks back in the air." As Patrick approaches, the Adoshan crew shrinks back. Mina forces herself to stand her ground, watching as the human male begins to assess their ship's damage. His movements are precise, his demeanor focused and professional. Over the next hours, Mina finds herself working closely with Patrick. She observes his strength as he effortlessly moves debris, his intelligence as he quickly grasps the intricacies of Adoshan technology. Most surprisingly, she notes his gentle nature, the care he takes not to alarm the already frightened crew. The Adoshan women watch from a distance, their fears slowly giving way to fascination. They whisper among themselves, pointing out Patrick's actions that contradict their long-held beliefs about human males. As the alien sun sets, casting an eerie glow across the landscape, Mina realizes her perspective is shifting. The human male she had dreaded is proving to be their salvation. Yet this growing attraction conflicts sharply with her duty to protect her people from the perceived human threat. While working on a particularly complex repair, Patrick suddenly freezes. "Captain," he calls out, his voice low and urgent, "you might want to see this." Mina approaches, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with curiosity. As she leans in to examine Patrick's discovery, their bodies nearly touch. The proximity sends an unexpected thrill through her. "These marks," Patrick points to a series of scratches on the ship's hull, "they're not from the crash. Something made these deliberately." Mina's eyes widen as the implication sinks in. This planet, which they had believed to be uninhabited, may harbor unknown dangers. As she meets Patrick's gaze, she realizes their already complex situation has just become even more complicated. The looming threat of an unknown entity, combined with their forced reliance on this human male, creates a potent mixture of fear and intrigue among the Adosian crew. As night falls on this alien world, Mina knows that everything she thought she understood about humans, and about survival, is about to be challenged. Mina's mind raced as she processed Patrick's discovery. The scratches on the hull were unmistakably deliberate, hinting at an unknown presence on this supposedly uninhabited planet. She glanced at Patrick, noting the concern etched on his face. "We need to investigate this further," Mina said, her voice low. "But first, we must ensure the safety of my crew." Patrick nodded in agreement. "I suggest we form a small team to explore the area. We can't risk exposing everyone to potential danger." As they discussed their plans, the alien sun dipped below the horizon, plunging the landscape into darkness. The temperature dropped rapidly, and a harsh wind whipped across the barren terrain. "Captain," one of the Adoshan crew members called out, her voice tinged with panic. "The environmental systems in the Zephyr are failing. We can't withstand these night temperatures." Mina's bioluminescent markings pulsed with alarm. She turned to Patrick, who was already scanning the area with a handheld device. "There's a network of caves about half a kilometer from here," he said, pointing to a rocky outcropping. "It should provide shelter from the elements." With no other options, Mina made a quick decision. "All right, we'll move to the caves. Gather only essential supplies. We move out immediately." The Adosian crew, still wary of Patrick but recognizing the urgency of the situation, hurried to follow Mina's orders. Patrick led the way, his powerful frame cutting through the wind as he guided them towards the caves. As they entered the cave system, Mina felt a mix of relief and apprehension. The air was noticeably warmer, but the darkness was oppressive. She activated her natural bioluminescence, casting a soft blue glow around her. To her surprise, the cave walls began to shimmer in response. Patrick's eyes widened in wonder. "Incredible," he breathed, reaching out to touch the wall. As his hand made contact, the shimmering intensified, spreading outward from his touch like ripples in a pond. Mina watched, fascinated. "The flora here, it seems to react differently to you than to us," she observed, her scientific curiosity overriding her lingering fears. As they ventured deeper into the caves, Mina found herself drawn closer to Patrick. The narrow passages forced them to walk side by side, their bodies occasionally brushing against each other. Each contact sent a thrill through her, a sensation both exhilarating and confusing. Their exploration led them to a vast chamber, its walls covered in intricate carvings. Patrick's face lit up with excitement. "These are artificial," he said, running his hand over the symbols. "There was a civilization here, long ago." Mina leaned in to examine the carvings, her body close to Patrick's. She could feel the heat radiating from him, smell the unfamiliar yet not unpleasant scent of his skin. Her markings pulsed rapidly, betraying her increasing heart rate. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the cave. The ground beneath their feet began to shake violently. "Cave in!" Patrick shouted. He grabbed Mina's hand and pulled her towards him as rocks began to fall from the ceiling. They stumbled backwards, narrowly avoiding the collapsing entrance to the chamber. When the dust settled, they found themselves trapped, cut off from the rest of the Adosian crew. In the confined space, Mina became acutely aware of Patrick's proximity. His arm was still around her waist, protective and strong. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice husky with concern. Mina nodded, unable to find her voice. As Patrick began to assess their situation, she realized that everything she thought she knew about humans, and about herself, was being challenged. Trapped in this ancient chamber with a human male, surrounded by the mysteries of a lost civilization, Mina knew that her world would never be the same again. As the dust settled from the cave-in, Mina and Patrick found themselves in a precarious situation. Trapped in the ancient chamber, they began to search for a way out. Patrick's flashlight illuminated the intricate carvings on the walls, revealing more of the lost civilization's secrets. "These symbols," Patrick mused, tracing his fingers along a series of interconnected lines. "They look like some kind of circuit diagram." Mina leaned in closer, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with curiosity. "You're right, but what could it mean?" Before they could ponder further, a low hum filled the air. The carvings began to glow, responding to their touch. Suddenly, a holographic display flickered to life in the center of the chamber, projecting a three-dimensional map of the cave system. "Incredible," Mina breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Patrick studied the map intently. "Look, there's our way out. But more importantly, this technology, it could be the key to repairing your ship." As they worked to decipher the ancient technology, they were unaware of the changes already beginning within the Adosian colony. Outside the cave, the planet's unusual magnetic fields were interacting with the Adosians' biology in unexpected ways. Dr. Lyra, the colony's chief medical officer, was the first to notice the symptoms. The younger Adosian females were becoming restless, their bioluminescent markings glowing with increased intensity. At first, she attributed it to stress, but as the hours passed, the truth became undeniable. "Captain," Dr. Lyra called over the communication system, her voice tight with concern, "we have a situation. Inside the chamber, Mina and Patrick had just managed to activate a hidden door when the doctor's voice crackled through. Mina's markings pulsed with alarm as she listened to the report. "A mating urge?" she repeated, her voice a mix of disbelief and growing understanding. She could feel it now, a warmth spreading through her body, intensifying every time she glanced at Patrick. Patrick's brow furrowed with concern. "Is there anything we can do?" Before Mina could respond, they emerged from the hidden passage into a vast cavern where the rest of the Adoshan crew had taken shelter. The sight that greeted them was both beautiful and unsettling. The cavern was alive with pulsating blue light. The younger Adoshan's markings glowed brilliantly, creating a mesmerizing display that seemed to resonate with the very walls of the cave. Patrick found himself transfixed, his eyes drawn to the swirling patterns of light. Mina fought to maintain her composure, the mating urge now unmistakable. She approached Dr. Lyra, who was busy scanning the affected Adoshans with a handheld device. "What's causing this?" Mina asked, her voice low and strained. Dr. Lyra's face was grim. "It's a combination of factors. The planet's magnetic fields have accelerated our reproductive systems. And," she hesitated, glancing at Patrick, "it seems prolonged exposure to human pheromones has acted as a catalyst." The implications of this revelation rippled through the colony. Some Adoshans shrank back from Patrick, fear and suspicion in their eyes. Others moved closer, drawn by an instinct they couldn't explain. Tara, Mina's second-in-command, stepped forward, her posture rigid with anger. "This is exactly what we feared," she hissed. "The human is a threat to our very existence." Mina held up a hand, silencing the growing murmurs. "We need to approach this rationally. Patrick's expertise is crucial to our survival. We can't afford to let fear cloud our judgment." As if to underscore her words, the ancient technology they had activated in the chamber suddenly flared to life. Holographic displays appeared throughout the cavern, showing detailed schematics of Adoshan and human biology. Patrick's eyes widened as he studied the displays. "This is remarkable. The technology seems to be offering a solution." Dr. Lyra nodded, her scientific curiosity overriding her own physical discomfort. "It's suggesting a controlled breeding program, a way to satisfy the biological imperative and potentially create offspring better adapted to this planet's conditions." The cavern erupted into chaos as the Adoshans reacted to this proposal. Tara's voice rose above the din, vehemently opposing the idea. But a growing number of younger Adoshans, their markings pulsing in sync with the planet's magnetic fields, voiced their support. Mina felt the weight of leadership pressing down on her. She knew the decision she made now would shape the future of her people. Looking at Patrick, she saw not the monster of Adoshan legend, but a partner in survival. Taking a deep breath, Mina stepped into the center of the cavern. Her markings glowed with dedication as she faced her crew. "I volunteer to be the first," she announced, her voice carrying through the stunned silence. "If this is what it takes to ensure our survival, I will lead by example." Patrick's eyes met Mina's, a mix of surprise, admiration, and something deeper reflected in his gaze. As the Adoshans erupted into a fresh wave of debate, Mina and Patrick knew that the real challenge was just beginning. The fate of both their species now hung in the balance, with only the ancient technology and their growing bond standing between them and extinction. Extinction and a new beginning. As the debate raged on, Mina's grit strengthened. She turned to Patrick, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with a mix of dedication and something deeper. "We need to prepare for the ritual," she said, her voice low but firm. Patrick nodded, his expression a blend of concern and admiration. "I'm with you, Captain, whatever it takes to ensure the survival of your people." The ancient chamber was quickly repurposed for the ceremony. Bioluminescent flora, carefully transplanted from the cave walls, cast an ethereal glow throughout the space. The Adoshan crew worked efficiently, their movements betraying a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Mina emerged from a makeshift alcove, adorned in traditional Adoshan garments. The shimmering fabric accentuated her bioluminescent patterns, creating a mesmerizing display. She stood before her people, her posture radiating authority despite the unprecedented nature of what was about to occur. As the ceremony began, tension in the air was palpable. Dr. Lyra monitored the proceedings with her medical scanner, while Tara and her faction watched from the shadows, their disapproval evident in their rigid postures. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine filled the chamber. The ancient technology sparked and sputtered, holographic displays flickering erratically. Panic erupted among the Adotians as the cave walls trembled ominously. "Sabotage!" Patrick shouted, sprinting towards a small device hidden in a crevice. His hands moved swiftly over its surface, attempting to disable it. Mina's voice cut through the chaos. "Everyone, remain calm. Move towards the exit in an orderly fashion." As she worked to maintain order, several young Adoshan females broke away from the group, their markings pulsing with an intensity that outshone even the bioluminescent flora. They approached Patrick, drawn by an instinct that overwhelmed their fear and training. Patrick glanced up, momentarily transfixed by the hypnotic display. The distraction cost him precious seconds as he struggled to focus on disabling the sabotage device. Mina felt an unexpected surge of jealousy course through her. She pushed it aside, concentrating on the crisis at hand. "Dr. Lyra, assist Patrick. The rest of you, continue evacuating." As Patrick and Dr. Lyra worked feverishly to neutralize the device, his fingers brushed against a hidden panel. The chamber filled with a blinding light as a massive holographic projection materialized. The image showed the planet's complex magnetic fields interacting with the bioluminescent flora and various alien species. Data streams scrolled rapidly, revealing the true nature of their surroundings. Dr. Lyra's eyes widened as she interpreted the information. "Captain, this planet, it's an engineered breeding ground for interspecies reproduction. The magnetic fields, the flora, it's all designed to enhance genetic compatibility." The revelation stunned both factions into silence. Even Tara, who had been making her way towards Patrick with malicious intent, froze in place. Dr. Lyra continued her analysis, her voice gaining excitement. "This could be the solution to our fertility issues. We could create a new hybrid species, stronger, more adaptable. But," her expression grew grave, "the data indicates an impending magnetic event. We have a limited window before the planet becomes uninhabitable." Tara, seeing her plans unraveling, made a desperate lunge for a nearby control panel. "I won't let you destroy everything we are," she snarled. In the ensuing struggle, part of the cave ceiling collapsed. Dust and debris filled the air as Patrick was cut off from the others. Mina's heart raced as she heard Patrick's muffled cries from beyond the rubble. Without hesitation, she began to dig, her crew quickly joining her efforts. As they worked to free Patrick, the magnetic fields intensified. Mina felt a warmth spreading through her body, her markings pulsing in sync with the planet's energy. She gritted her teeth, fighting against the growing urge that threatened to overwhelm her. Finally, they broke through. Patrick lay on the ground, bruised but alive. As Mina's eyes met his, something inside her shifted. The last of her emotional barriers crumbled, replaced by a certainty that defied centuries of Adoshan doctrine. "We need to complete the ritual," Mina announced, her voice unwavering. "Now." Ignoring the murmurs of shock and protest, Mina helped Patrick to his feet. They stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the pulsing bioluminescent flora and the humming ancient technology. As they began the mating ritual, the chamber's systems sprang to life. A soft, otherworldly glow enveloped them, resonating with the Adoshan's bioluminescent markings. The air grew thick with an energy that seemed to heighten every sensation. Unknown to the transfixed observers, deep within the planet's core, something ancient stirred. As Mina and Patrick's union progressed, tremors began to shake the cavern, growing in intensity with each passing moment. Dr. Lyra's scanner beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the planet's core. It's as if the planet itself is responding to the ritual." The bioluminescent flora pulsed in time with the energy waves, creating a dazzling light show that filled the chamber. The Adotians watched in a mix of awe and trepidation as their captain and the human continued the ritual, oblivious to the growing chaos around them. As the ritual reached its climax, a massive surge of energy exploded outward from Mina and Patrick. The bioluminescent flora erupted in a blinding flash, momentarily overwhelming everyone's senses. When the light faded, Mina and Patrick stood transformed. Subtle changes were visible in their physiology. Patrick's skin now bore faint bioluminescent patterns, while Mina's markings had taken on a more intricate, almost geometric design. Dr. Lyra rushed forward, scanner in hand. Her eyes widened as she analyzed the results. "It's incredible. Your genetic structures have merged successfully. We've created a viable human-Edosian hybrid." The implications of this breakthrough rippled through the assembled Edosians. Some looked on with hope, while others recoiled in fear of the unknown. Before anyone could fully process what had occurred, another tremor shook the cavern, more violent than before. Dr. Lyra's scanner blared a warning. "The planet's core. Its energy levels are rising exponentially. We may have less time than we thought." Mina, still catching her breath from the intense experience, straightened her posture. Despite the physical and emotional turmoil she had just endured, her voice rang out clear and authoritative. "We need to act quickly. Dr. Lyra, begin preparations for more pairings. We need to ensure the survival of our new hybrid species." She turned to face the rest of her crew. "I know this goes against everything we've believed, but our survival depends on our ability to adapt. Who among you is willing to take this leap with us?" As murmurs of assent and dissent rippled through the crowd, Mina felt Patrick's hand slip into hers. She looked up at him, seeing her own mix of uncertainty and purpose reflected in his eyes. "Whatever comes next," Patrick said softly, "we face it together." Mina nodded, squeezing his hand as she turned back to her people. Time was running out, and the fate of both their species hung in the balance. The true test of their newfound unity was about to begin. The true test of their newfound unity was about to unfold in ways none of them could have anticipated. As the days passed, the success of Mina and Patrick's union catalyzed a wave of change throughout the Edosian colony. More volunteers stepped forward, eager to participate in the mating rituals with Patrick. Dr. Lyra, ever the meticulous scientist, established a controlled environment to facilitate multiple mating sessions while closely monitoring the health of all participants. The ancient technology chamber, now fully activated, emitted a pulsating energy field that seemed to enhance the genetic compatibility between humans and Edosians. This field had an unexpected effect on the hybrid embryos, accelerating their gestation period from months to mere days. Within a week, the first group of human-Edosian hybrid infants was born. The chamber filled with the soft cries of the newborns, their skin glowing with intricate patterns that shifted and danced in response to their emotions. Dr. Lyra ran her scanner over one of the infants, her eyes widening as she interpreted the results. "It's remarkable," she breathed. "They've inherited the best traits from both species. Look at how their markings respond to the magnetic fields." The hybrid children exhibited extraordinary abilities from the start. They possessed the Edosians' heightened sensory perception and bioluminescent communication, combined with human adaptability and resilience. Most intriguingly, they showed a natural affinity for interfacing with the planet's ancient technology. As Patrick cradled one of the infants, its tiny hand reached out and touched a nearby control panel. The entire chamber lit up, displays flickering to life with information that had previously been inaccessible. "Incredible," Patrick murmured. "They might be the key to unlocking this planet's secrets." However, their joy was short-lived as another violent tremor shook the cavern. Mina steadied herself against a wall, her expression grim. "The core is becoming more unstable. We need to accelerate our plans." Patrick nodded, handing the infant back to its Edosian mother. "We'll need to repair and upgrade our ships using this technology. It's our only chance of getting everyone off the planet safely." As they worked tirelessly to prepare for their departure, an unexpected ally emerged. Tara, who had once vehemently opposed any cooperation with Patrick, approached the pair with a changed demeanor. "I've been watching the hybrid children," she said, her voice tinged with awe. "Their abilities, they're beyond anything I could have imagined. I was wrong to resist this change. Please, let me help with the evacuation efforts." Mina studied her former rival, sensing the sincerity in her words. She nodded, extending her hand. "We need everyone working together if we're going to survive this." As the days stretched into weeks, the number of hybrid children grew. They developed rapidly, their minds as accelerated as their bodies. It was during one of the nightly strategy sessions that the first vision struck. A young hybrid child, no more than a few weeks old but with the appearance and cognitive abilities of a young adult, suddenly cried out. His eyes glowed with an intense light as he spoke in a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the planet itself. "Danger," he gasped. "Not just here, everywhere. The magnetic event, it's part of something bigger, something that could affect countless worlds." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. Patrick was the first to break the silence, his mind racing with possibilities. "We might be able to use the ancient technology, combined with the hybrid's abilities, to stabilize the core," he proposed. "But it would require more hybrids, more psychic strength than we currently have." Mina frowned, understanding the unspoken part of his plan. "You're suggesting we continue the mating rituals, produce more hybrid children, even as we prepare to leave?" Patrick nodded grimly. "It's a risk, but if these visions are accurate, we might be the only ones capable of preventing a disaster that could affect multiple worlds." The colony found itself faced with an impossible choice: continue with their evacuation plans and potentially save themselves, or stay and attempt to prevent a cataclysm that could have far-reaching consequences. Mina, feeling the weight of leadership more heavily than ever, called for a colony-wide vote. The debate was intense, with valid arguments on both sides. Some argued for self-preservation, while others felt a moral obligation to protect less developed worlds that might be affected. As the colony deliberated, Patrick worked tirelessly with Dr. Lyra and a team of Idosian scientists to refine his plan. They discovered that the success of the stabilization effort hinged on achieving a critical mass of hybrid children within a specific timeframe. The vote concluded with a narrow majority in favor of attempting to stabilize the planet. With the decision made, the colony mobilized all its resources towards Patrick's plan. Mating rituals were conducted around the clock, with Patrick and other human volunteers working tirelessly to create as many hybrid children as possible. As the number of hybrids grew, their collective psychic ability began to manifest in unexpected ways. They started to uncover more secrets about the planet's original inhabitants and the true purpose of the ancient technology. One evening, as Patrick and Mina observed a group of hybrid children interfacing with the ancient systems, a holographic display flickered to life. It showed a star map with several worlds highlighted, connected by lines of energy. "Look!" Mina gasped, pointing to a pulsing dot at the center of the map. "That's us. This planet. It's not just a random world. It's a nexus point in some kind of interstellar network." Patrick studied the display, his mind racing with the implications. The hybrids, their creation might have been part of a plan set in motion long ago, but for what purpose? Before Mina could respond, another tremor shook the cavern, more violent than any before. Alarms blared throughout the colony as systems registered a massive spike in the planet's core instability. Patrick grabbed Mina's hand, his expression a mix of grit and fear. "We're out of time. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." As they raced towards the central chamber where the hybrid children had gathered, the fate of not just their colony, but potentially multiple worlds hung in the balance. The ultimate test of their newfound unity and strength was about to begin, with the very fabric of reality trembling around them. The ground beneath their feet shuddered violently, threatening to tear the cavern apart. Patrick and Mina sprinted towards the central chamber, their hearts pounding in unison with the planet's erratic pulse. As they entered, they were met with a sight that took their breath away. The hybrid children, their skin aglow with intricate patterns, stood in a circle around a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with an otherworldly light. Dr. Lyra rushed to meet them, her scanner beeping frantically. "The children discovered this chamber," she explained, gesturing to the crystal. "They believe it's key to stabilizing the planet's core, but we need more hybrids to generate enough energy." Patrick nodded, his mind racing. "We need to accelerate the mating rituals. Mina, can you organize more volunteers?" Mina was already moving, her authoritative voice ringing out over the comm system. "Attention all colonists. We need every available Idosian to report to the mating chambers immediately. This is not a request but a necessity for our survival." As Mina coordinated the efforts, Patrick worked alongside Dr. Lyra and the Adosian scientists to refine the hybridization process. They pushed the ancient technology to its limits, coaxing every ounce of power from the systems to enhance genetic compatibility and accelerate gestation. Days blurred into weeks as the colony threw itself into the task with single-minded commitment. The mating chambers operated around the clock, filled with the soft glow of bioluminescent markings and the hum of energy fields. Edosians who once recoiled at the idea now approached the rituals with a mix of trepidation and purpose. Mina, her abdomen swollen with her second hybrid child, moved tirelessly through the colony. She organized schedules, comforted nervous volunteers, and ensured the well-being of all participants. Her presence was a constant reminder of what they were fighting for. As the number of hybrid children grew, so did their collective psychic link to the planet. They moved through the ancient complex with purpose, their small hands interfacing with control panels and unlocking secrets long forgotten. New chambers were discovered, each one revealing another piece of the puzzle. Patrick stood in the crystal chamber, watching as the hybrid children worked in unison. Their eyes glowed with an inner light as they communicated silently, their movements synchronized. He felt a tug on his sleeve and looked down to see his firstborn Lyra, her eyes wide with urgency. "Dad," she said, her voice carrying a weight beyond her years, "we need to activate the crystal now. The planet can't hold much longer." Patrick knelt beside her, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what she was asking. "Lyra, it's dangerous. We don't know what it might do to you and the others." Lyra's gaze was unwavering. "We know the risks, but we also know it's our only chance." As if to emphasize her point, a violent tremor shook the chamber. Dust and small rocks rained down from the ceiling, and the crystal's pulsing grew more erratic. Patrick looked up to see Mina enter the chamber, her face etched with concern. They shared a silent moment of understanding before turning to the gathered hybrid children. "It's your choice," Mina said softly. "We won't force you to do this." The children responded by forming a circle around the crystal, their hands linked. Lyra took her place among them, her young face set with purpose. Patrick and Mina stepped back, their hearts in their throats as the ritual began. The children's bioluminescent markings flared to life, pulsing in sync with the crystal. Energy crackled through the air, raising the hair on Patrick's arms. The chamber filled with a blinding light, forcing Patrick and Mina to shield their eyes. The ground beneath their feet bucked and heaved, and for a terrifying moment, Patrick thought the entire complex would collapse. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light faded. Patrick blinked, his eyes adjusting to the dimness. The hybrid children lay on the ground, exhausted but alive. The crystal glowed steadily, its erratic pulsing now a smooth rhythmic beat. Dr. Lyra burst into the chamber, her scanner whirring. "It's working!" she exclaimed. "The planet's core is stabilizing. They did it!" As the immediate danger passed, the colony found itself facing a new challenge. The activated crystal projected holographic star maps, revealing other worlds with similar ancient technology and instabilities. Patrick studied the projections, his legs shaking with the implications. "We could save them," he murmured. "We have the knowledge, the technology." Mina placed a hand on his arm, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "But at what cost? We've only just begun to understand our own situation." As the colony grappled with this new information, life continued to evolve rapidly. More Adosians volunteered for mating rituals, driven by the success of the stabilization effort. The underground complex buzzed with activity as new hybrid children were born daily, each one a bridge between two species. Patrick and Mina found themselves at the center of it all, guiding their people through uncharted territory. They knew that their time on this planet was limited, that the stabilization was not permanent. But as they watched their children grow, as they saw the hope in the eyes of their people, they realized that they were building something far greater than they had ever imagined. The future stretched before them, filled with possibilities and challenges. As Patrick held Mina close, feeling the movement of their unborn child, he knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Humans, Adosians, and the new hybrid species they had created. Created together was just the beginning. As the dust settled from their monumental achievement, Patrick and Mina found themselves thrust into a new era of rapid development and decision-making. The holographic star maps still glowed in the background, a constant reminder of the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Mina, her hand resting on her swollen abdomen, turned to Patrick. "We need to convene a council," she said, her voice firm with determination. "There's too much at stake for us to make these decisions alone." Patrick nodded, his eyes scanning the faces of the colonists gathered around them. "Agreed. We'll need representatives from all factions, including the hybrid children. Their insight will be crucial." Within hours, a diverse group assembled in the newly designated council chamber. Dr. Lyra sat next to Terra, their former rivalry now replaced by a shared sense of purpose. Human and Adoshan representatives filled the seats, their differences set aside in the face of their common goals. Most striking were the hybrid children, their eyes glowing with an inner light as they took their places at the table. Patrick stood at the head of the table, his voice echoing in the cavernous room. "We face a decision that will shape not just our future, but potentially the future of countless worlds. We need to determine our next steps." The council deliberated for hours, voices rising and falling as they debated their options. Finally, after much discussion, they reached a consensus. Their efforts would be split into three main objectives: continuing the stabilization of their current planet, preparing for potential missions to other unstable worlds, and further developing their hybrid society. With the decision made, the colony burst into action. Patrick led a team of engineers and hybrid children to construct a network of smaller stabilization crystals around the planet. They worked tirelessly, using the knowledge gained from activating the main crystal to create a web of energy that would prolong the planet's stability. Mina, despite her advancing pregnancy, threw herself into overseeing the retrofitting of their ships. The hangar bay buzzed with activity as human and Adoshan engineers worked side by side, integrating the ancient technology into their vessels. The air filled with the sound of welding and the hum of energy fields as they prepared for future interstellar missions. Dr. Lyra found herself at the forefront of the most complex challenge, developing their hybrid society. As more hybrid children were born and rapidly matured, she led a team dedicated to understanding and nurturing their unique needs. The ancient complex became a living laboratory, filled with the laughter and chatter of children who were both familiar and utterly alien. A breakthrough came when a young hybrid named Zara discovered she could telepathically communicate with the ancient technology. Her eyes glowed brightly as she interfaced with a control panel, her small hands moving with certainty over the alien symbols. It's singing to me," Zara explained, her voice filled with wonder. "I can hear its thoughts, its purpose." This discovery accelerated their understanding of the planet's systems exponentially. Zara and other gifted hybrids became crucial in integrating the technology into their ships and daily lives. The colony hummed with a new energy as the ancient and the modern merged seamlessly. As these projects progressed, the colony experienced a population boom. The fear and hesitation that once surrounded the mating rituals gave way to excitement and celebration. Human Adoshan pairings became more common, each union a symbol of their new united society. Patrick found himself working around the clock to expand their living quarters and food production capabilities. He marveled at the ingenuity of their solutions, watching as hybrid children use their bioluminescent properties to accelerate plant growth in newly created hydroponic gardens. The rapid growth strained their resources, but it also led to new discoveries. Deep within the planet, they uncovered an advanced medical facility. Dr. Lyra's eyes lit up as she explored the new equipment, realizing its potential for fine-tuning the hybridization process and addressing health concerns in their growing population. As the hybrid children grew in number, they began to form their own unique culture. Patrick and Mina watched in fascination as their offspring created a new language, blending human and Adoshan elements enhanced by their telepathic abilities. The colony rang with the sound of this new tongue, a living symbol of their evolving society. The colony approached the one-year mark since their crash landing, and a critical decision loomed. Despite the stabilization network, the planet's core showed signs of future instability. The council reconvened, now expanded to include hybrid representatives, to debate their next move. Tensions ran high as arguments flew back and forth. Some pushed for staying to further develop their society, while others advocated for immediately embarking on their galactic mission. Patrick and Mina found themselves at the center of the debate, torn between their duties as leaders and their personal desires as parents and partners. As the discussion reached a fever pitch, an unexpected event silenced the room. The ground trembled slightly, and holographic projections suddenly materialized throughout the colony. The ancient defense systems, dormant for millennia, had activated. A figure appeared before them, alien yet somehow familiar. Its voice, translated through the hybrid children, filled the chamber. "Greetings, children of two worlds. You have awakened the legacy we left behind, and in doing so, you have taken the first step towards fulfilling a destiny greater than you could imagine. Listen carefully, for the future of the galaxy rests in your hands." The council chamber fell silent as the message continued, revealing secrets that would change their understanding of their purpose and their place in the universe forever. The alien figure's words echoed through the chamber, leaving the assembled council in stunned silence. As the hologram faded, Patrick and Mina exchanged glances, their minds reeling from the implications of what they'd just learned. "A seed ship," Patrick breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're on a living ship designed to spread life across the galaxy." Mina nodded, her hand unconsciously moving to her swollen belly. "And our children, they're the key to it all." The council erupted into a flurry of questions and exclamations. Dr. Lyra's scanner whirred frantically as she tried to process the new information. Tara, the Adosian representative, stood up abruptly, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with excitement. "This changes everything," she declared. "We're not just survivors anymore. We're creators, guardians of life itself." Patrick raised his hands, calling for order. "We need to make a decision," he said, his voice carrying across the room. "Do we accept this responsibility? Do we take on this cosmic mission?" The debate raged for hours with impassioned arguments on all sides. Some feared the unknown dangers of venturing into space, while others saw it as their destiny. Through it all, the hybrid children sat quietly, their eyes glowing with an inner light as they communicated silently among themselves. As the arguments began to circle back on themselves, Lyra, Patrick, and Mina's eldest, stood up. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the young hybrid. "We must go," she said, her voice carrying a weight beyond her years. "It's why we exist. We can feel it in our very cells." Her words seemed to resonate with something deep within everyone present. One by one, the council members nodded their agreement. Patrick looked to Mina, who gave him a small smile and a nod. "Then it's decided," Patrick announced. "We accept our role as guardians and spreaders of life. We'll prepare for our mission to terraform and populate other worlds." The colony burst into action, every member working tirelessly to prepare for their grand mission. The ancient technology, as if sensing their decision, initiated a final phase of adaptation in the hybrid population. Patrick and Mina watched in awe as their children and the other hybrids underwent an accelerated growth spurt, reaching physical maturity in a matter of weeks. Lyra, now a young woman, emerged as a natural leader among the hybrids. Her enhanced abilities allowed her to interface deeply with the seed ship systems, accessing a vast database of knowledge on terraforming techniques and potential challenges. "Dad, Mom," she said one day, her eyes glowing with excitement, "I've found something incredible. The seed ship has the ability to create wormhole-like corridors for faster travel between planets." Patrick's eyes widened. "That would change everything. We could reach distant worlds in a fraction of the time we thought it would take." As the preparations continued, a new challenge arose. The seed ship systems indicated that it needed to remain on the planet to maintain the stabilization network. The colony faced the difficult task of deciding who would stay behind to operate and maintain the seed ship. The selection process was heart-wrenching. Families faced the prospect of separation, and newly formed bonds were tested. Patrick and Mina, committed to leading the mission, struggled with the idea of leaving some of their hybrid children behind. Dr. Lyra, working tirelessly in the newly discovered medical facility, developed a solution. "We've created a stasis technology," she announced to the council. "Those who remain can enter suspended animation, allowing them to survive for extended periods with minimal aging. They could potentially rejoin the mission in the future. The news brought relief to many, but the emotional weight of the impending separation still hung heavy over the colony. As the departure date approached, the retrofitting of their ships intensified. The hybrid children, with their unique connection to the seed ship systems, played a crucial role in integrating the ancient technology into their fleet. Specialized pods were created to carry dormant plant and animal species, essential for terraforming new worlds. The hangar bay hummed with activity as human and Adosian engineers worked side by side, guided by the hybrid's intuitive understanding of the seed ship's technology. On the eve of their departure, the colony gathered for a grand ceremony to commemorate their journey and honor those staying behind. Patrick and Mina stood at the center, now revered as the progenitors of a new species. The air was charged with emotion as they led the ritual, their voices carrying across the assembled crowd. As the ceremony reached its peak, a violent tremor shook the ground. Alarms blared throughout the complex as the stabilization network began to falter. Patrick's face paled as he realized the implications. "The core is destabilizing," he shouted over the din. "We need to reinforce the network manually." Without hesitation, Patrick, Mina, and a team of hybrids rushed to the central crystal chamber. The air crackled with energy as they worked frantically to restore stability. Patrick interfaced directly with the seed ship systems, his mind merging with the ancient technology. "I can see the network," he gasped, his eyes glowing with the same inner light as the hybrids. "I can stabilize it, but—" Mina's eyes widened as she realized what he was about to say. "No, Patrick, there has to be another way." But they both knew there wasn't. With a final surge of effort, Patrick reinforced the stabilization network, permanently bonding himself to the seed ship systems in the process. As the tremors subsided and stability returned, Patrick turned to Mina, his eyes filled with both sorrow and persistence. "I have to stay," he said softly, "to maintain the planet's stability, to ensure the safety of those remaining and the success of the mission." Tears streamed down Mina's face as she embraced him, knowing this was their final moment together. Around them, their hybrid children gathered, their faces a mix of grief and understanding. Hours later, as the colony's ships prepared for liftoff, Patrick stood in the control room, his consciousness now intimately linked with the seed ship. He watched on the monitors as Mina boarded the lead ship, their unborn child now the last direct link between them. The ships rose into the atmosphere, carrying the hopes and dreams of their new civilization. Patrick felt a surge of emotion as he watched them disappear into the stars, knowing that though he remained behind, a part of him would always be with them on their grand mission to seed the galaxy with life. As the glow of the ship's engines faded from view, Patrick turned his attention to those who had stayed behind. They had work to do, preparing the seed ship for the day when it might join its children among the stars. The dawn of a new era had begun, and though separated by vast distances, they were united in their purpose. Purpose and mission forever united in their shared destiny. As the glow of the departing ships faded into the inky blackness of space, Mina took a deep breath, steadying herself for the journey ahead. The weight of leadership now rested solely on her shoulders, a burden she accepted with relentless drive. The fleet of 5 vessels, their hulls gleaming with the integrated seed ship technology, pushed forward into the vast unknown. Mina stood on the bridge of the lead ship, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead, thinking of Patrick and the sacrifice he had made. "Captain," a young officer called out, breaking her reverie, "we've plotted the course to Alpha 1 as per the galactic map." Mina nodded, her hand unconsciously moving to her swollen belly. "Engage the propulsion systems. Let's see what this technology can do." The journey to Alpha 1 took several weeks, despite the advanced propulsion systems. During this time, the hybrid population continued to grow and evolve. New mating pairs formed among the humans and Adosians, resulting in a second generation of hybrids born in the depths of space. Lyra, now fully grown and radiating confidence, took charge of training the hybrid children. Mina watched with pride as her daughter led rigorous training sessions, combining physical exercises with mental disciplines. "Focus!" Lyra's voice rang out in the training bay, Feel the energy flowing through the ship. Connect with it. The young hybrids, their eyes glowing with concentration, levitated small objects around the room. Their abilities were growing stronger by the day, surpassing even their parents' capabilities. As they approached Alpha 1, an unexpected obstacle loomed before them. A dense field of asteroids and space debris surrounded the planet, making a direct approach impossible. Mina called an emergency meeting on the bridge. "We need a solution, and fast," she said, looking at her assembled team. Zara, a young hybrid with enhanced telepathic abilities, stepped forward. "I can do it," she said, her voice steady despite the pressure. "I can connect with the ship's systems and guide us through." Mina hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Do it." Zara closed her eyes, her forehead creasing with concentration. The ship's controls began to move on their own, guided by her mind. With breathtaking precision, the fleet weaved through the treacherous field, emerging unscathed on the other side. As they entered Alpha 1's orbit, the initial scans painted a grim picture. The planet's atmosphere was highly toxic, its surface covered in vast acidic oceans. This was far beyond what they had prepared for. Dr. Lyra, working tirelessly with a team of human and Adosian scientists, quickly developed a new strategy. "We can use a combination of seed ship technology and the hybrid's bioluminescent properties," she explained, pointing to a complex diagram. "It should neutralize the acidic oceans and begin atmospheric conversion." Mina studied the plan, her brow furrowed. "This will require direct intervention on the surface," she said, her voice grave. "It's incredibly risky." After a moment of contemplation, Mina made her decision. "I'll lead the first landing team myself," she announced, silencing the room. "We'll take our most capable hybrids and specialists." The landing team donned their specialized environmental suits, a marvel of human ingenuity and seed ship technology. As they boarded the landing craft, Mina felt a mix of anticipation and fear. The descent through Alpha 1's turbulent atmosphere was harrowing. The hybrid team members used their psychic abilities to stabilize the craft, preventing a catastrophic crash. As they touched down on the hostile surface, Mina's voice crackled over the comm system. "Deploy the terraforming pods. Let's make this planet livable." For days, the team worked tirelessly, facing equipment malfunctions and encounters with dangerous wildlife adapted to the toxic environment. Lyra's leadership proved invaluable, her quick thinking and enhanced abilities saving them from disaster more than once. On the 5th day, while exploring a series of caverns near their landing site, Mina made a startling discovery. Ancient ruins, clearly artificial, lined the walls of a vast underground chamber. "Dr. Lyra," Mina called over the comm, her voice filled with awe. "You need to see this. It appears we're not the first to attempt life on this planet." As the team gathered in the chamber, the implications of their discovery began to sink in. The current state of Alpha 1 might not be natural, but the result of a catastrophic event. Their contemplation was interrupted by Zara's sudden gasp. Her eyes glowed intensely as she pressed her hand against the cavern wall. There's a signal," she said, her voice strained. "Coming from deep within the planet. It's artificial." Mina's mind raced. This changed everything. She made a difficult decision. "Halt the terraforming process," she ordered. "We need to investigate this further before we proceed." As she prepared to send a message back to the fleet, requesting additional resources and expertise, Mina realized the magnitude of the challenge before them. They had come to Alpha 1 to create new life, but instead they found themselves face to face with the echoes of an ancient civilization. The colony now stood at a crossroads, the path ahead uncertain. As Mina composed her message, she couldn't help but wonder what other secrets this strange planet held, and how they would shape the destiny of their mission. New civilization and their mission to spread life throughout the cosmos. As Mina composed her message to the fleet, her mind raced with the implications of their discovery. She knew that this finding required immediate action and a specialized team to investigate further. "Dr. Lyra," Mina called over the comm system, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I need you to assemble a team. We're going deeper into these caverns." Within hours, Mina had gathered a group of their most capable individuals. Her daughter Lyra, the telepathic hybrid Zara, Dr. Lyra, and a select group of human and Adosian scientists. They stood at the entrance of the vast underground chamber, their environmental suits gleaming in the dim light. "Remember," Mina addressed the team, her eyes scanning each face. "We don't know what we're dealing with. Stay alert and in constant communication." As they descended deeper into the planet's bowels, the air grew thick with anticipation. The walls of the cavern transformed, smooth natural rock giving way to intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Zara, walking at the front of the group, suddenly stopped. "The signal!" she gasped, her eyes wide. "It's getting stronger. I can almost taste it." The team rounded a corner and found themselves in a vast chamber unlike anything they had ever seen. Organic structures intertwined with mechanical components, creating a bizarre landscape that defied conventional understanding. At the center stood a towering pillar of pulsating energy. "Incredible," Dr. Lyra breathed, her scientific mind already racing to analyze what she was seeing. "This technology, it's far beyond anything we've encountered." As the team spread out to examine the chamber, Zara approached the central pillar. Her eyes glowed intensely as she raised a hand toward its surface. The moment her fingers made contact, the entire complex surged to life. Holographic displays burst into existence around them, filling the air with streams of data and images. The team watched in awe as the history of Alpha One unfolded before their eyes. It's showing us the past," Lyra exclaimed, her voice filled with wonder. "Alpha One wasn't always like this. It was once a thriving world." The holograms revealed a civilization of unimaginable advancement. Beings of light and energy moved through cities that defied the laws of physics. They watched as these beings faced a cosmic calamity, their world on the brink of destruction. "The seed ship," Mina whispered, realization dawning. "They created it. They created us." As the final images faded, the complex's systems began to interface directly with the hybrid team members. Lyra and Zara cried out as waves of energy coursed through their bodies, enhancing their abilities beyond anything they had experienced before. Zara's eyes glowed with newfound power. "I can see everything," she said, her voice distant. "The planet, its core, the very molecules in the air." Lyra, equally transformed, raised her hand. A nearby piece of debris lifted effortlessly into the air, disassembling and reassembling at her will. "We can control it all," she said, awe evident in her voice. As the hybrids explored their new abilities, alarms blared through their comm systems. Mina's face paled as she received reports from the surface teams. "The atmosphere is destabilizing," she announced, her voice tight with urgency. "We need to evacuate the surface immediately." Dr. Lyra, who had been analyzing the complex's data streams, suddenly looked up. "Wait," she called out. "I think I understand what's happening. The planet's current state, it's a defense mechanism. It's protecting this technology until the right successors could be found." Mina's mind raced, piecing together the implications. "And we're those successors," she said, her gaze sweeping across her team of hybrids. "We're the key to restoring this world." A plan began to form in Mina's mind. She established communication with Patrick through the seed ship's long-range systems, quickly explaining the situation and receiving crucial information about activating the planet's restoration protocol. "Listen up," Mina addressed her team, her voice filled with commitment. "We have a chance to save this planet, but it's going to take everything we've got. I need volunteers to stay on the surface and carry out the restoration protocol." Lyra and Zara stepped forward without hesitation, followed by several other hybrids who had shown exceptional abilities. Mina nodded, pride mixing with concern for their safety. "The rest of the colony will remain in orbit," she continued. "We can't risk everyone if this fails." As the surface conditions worsened, Mina led her small team to key points around the planet. The ancient complex had provided them with a map, showing where they needed to be to activate the restoration process. Mina stood at the central control hub, her hand hovering over the activation panel. She took a deep breath, knowing that once she initiated the protocol, there would be no turning back. "Is everyone in position?" she asked over the comm. A chorus of affirmatives came back. Mina pressed her hand to the panel, and the world erupted into chaos. The planet's core surged with energy, sending violent tremors through the ground. The sky above turned into a maelstrom of conflicting energies. In orbit, the colony watched in horror as the planet seemed to tear itself apart. On the surface, the hybrid team members fought to maintain their positions. Lyra and Zara, their powers amplified by the planet's energy, created protective bubbles around themselves and their teammates. Their minds linked, allowing them to work in perfect synchronization. Mina, at the center of it all, poured every ounce of her strength into guiding the restoration process. Sweat beaded on her brow as she fought to control the immense energies coursing through her body. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy burst from the planet's core. It swept across the surface, transforming everything it touched. Toxic gases dissipated, replaced by breathable air. Acidic oceans neutralized, their waters turning clear and pure. Barren wastelands bloomed with the first hints of life. As the energy wave passed, Mina and her team collapsed, utterly drained. The ancient complex, having fulfilled its purpose, began to power down. Silence fell over the newly reborn world. Slowly, Mina pushed herself to her feet. She looked around, hardly daring to believe what she was seeing. Where once there had been a toxic wasteland, now stood the beginnings of a lush, vibrant world. "We did it," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." As the rest of the colony began to descend from orbit, Mina knew that their journey was not nearly finished. They had unlocked secrets beyond their wildest dreams, gained abilities they were only beginning to understand. The galaxy awaited them, full of worlds to explore and life to nurture. But as Mina watched her people set foot on their new home, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Somewhere out there, something was coming. Whether friend or foe, only time would tell. Only time would reveal the true nature of what awaited them. For now, Mina and her team focused on the monumental task of establishing their colony on this reborn world. As the days passed, the colony thrived on Alpha 1. The once toxic planet now teemed with life, its atmosphere clear and breathable. Mina stood atop a hill overlooking the main settlement, pride swelling in her chest as she watched her people build their new home. Her moment of reflection was cut short by a sudden commotion. Colonists pointed skyward, their voices rising in a mix of excitement and concern. Mina's eyes followed their gestures, widening as she saw what had caught their attention. A massive object, far larger than anything in their fleet, entered the star system. Its sleek biomechanical design seemed to defy the laws of physics as it glided effortlessly through space. "Dr. Lyra," Mina called into her communicator, her voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. "Are you seeing this?" "Affirmative," Dr. Lyra's voice crackled back. "Our long-range sensors just picked it up. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered." Mina wasted no time. "Assemble the leadership team. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. The colony's command center buzzed with activity as Mina entered. Holographic displays showed real-time data on the approaching vessel. Dr. Lyra stood before the main screen, her fingers dancing across the control panel as she analyzed the incoming information. "What do we know?" Mina asked, her eyes scanning the room. Dr. Lyra turned, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "The vessel's design. It bears striking similarities to our seed ship technology, but the scale and complexity are far beyond anything we possess." Murmurs rippled through the assembled leaders. Mina's mind raced with possibilities. Could it be connected to the creators of the seed ship project? Before anyone could respond, a new alert blared through the command center. Zara, her eyes glowing with psychic energy, stepped forward. "We're receiving a transmission," she announced. "It's complex, like nothing I've ever encountered." Mina nodded. "Can you decode it?" Zara closed her eyes, concentrating. The room fell silent, all eyes on the young hybrid. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. "It's an invitation," she said, her voice filled with awe. "They want us to board their ship." The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, some urging caution, others excitement. Mina raised her hand, silencing the crowd. "This could be our chance to gain invaluable knowledge and technology," she said, "but we must proceed with caution." She turned to Dr. Lyra. Prepare our most advanced shuttle. Outfit it with our best seed ship-derived defenses. Then, addressing the room, I'll lead a first contact team. Lyra, Zara, you're with me. We'll also need a select group of human, Edosian, and hybrid specialists. As the chosen team prepared for departure, Mina felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. This encounter could change everything for their colony, for better or worse. The modified shuttle hummed with energy as it approached the colossal vessel. As they drew near, a shimmering field enveloped them, guiding their craft into a cavernous docking bay. Mina's breath caught in her throat as she took in the interior of the ship. It was a marvel of biomechanical engineering, far surpassing anything they had ever seen. As the team disembarked, they were greeted by tall, luminous beings. Their forms seemed to shift and flow, as if made of living light. One stepped forward, its voice resonating not in the air, but directly in their minds. "Welcome, children of the seed ship," it said. "We are the progenitors, creators of the project that brought you into being." Mina stepped forward, her voice steady. "On behalf of our colony, I thank you for this invitation. We have many questions." The progenitors' form shimmered. "And we have much to share. You have impressed us with your successful hybridization and your handling of Alpha One's restoration. But there is more to your destiny than you yet know." As the progenitor spoke, holographic displays materialized around them, showing images of countless worlds teeming with life. "You are the culmination of our grand experiment," it continued, "a species capable of stewarding life across the galaxy. We offer you our knowledge and technology, but there is a condition." Mina felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. "What condition?" The progenitor's form pulsed with energy. "The human Edosian hybrids must undergo a final stage of evolution. It will unlock your full potential, granting you abilities beyond your imagination. You will truly become the caretakers of life in this galaxy." As the implications of the progenitor's words sank in, Mina realized they stood at a crossroads. The path they chose would not only shape their colony's future, but potentially the fate of countless worlds. She looked at her team, seeing the same mix of wonder and uncertainty in their eyes. "Before we make any decisions," Mina said, her voice firm, "we need to understand exactly what this evolution entails and what it means for our people." The progenitor nodded, its form rippling with approval. "Of course, we shall grant you access to our ship's database. Study, learn, and then decide. The future of life in this galaxy may well depend on your choice." As Mina and her team delved into the vast repository of knowledge before them, they couldn't shake the feeling that whatever they decided, nothing would ever be the same again. As Mina and her team absorbed the vast knowledge offered by the progenitors, a sense of urgency grew. They knew they had to return to Alpha One and share their findings with the colony. The journey back was tense, filled with hushed discussions and contemplative silence. Upon their arrival, they found the colony in a state of nervous anticipation. Word of the progenitor's offer had spread, and the air crackled with a mix of excitement and fear. Mina wasted no time in calling for a colony-wide assembly. The central plaza, usually bustling with daily activities, now served as an impromptu amphitheater. Colonists of all ages gathered, their faces a mosaic of curiosity and concern. Mina stood before them, her posture straight, her voice clear as she recounted their encounter with the progenitors. "The offer before us is monumental," Mina explained, her eyes scanning the crowd. "The progenitors propose a final stage of evolution for our hybrids, granting abilities beyond our current comprehension." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some leaned forward, eager to hear more, while others exchanged worried glances. Mina continued, detailing the potential benefits and the unknowns of such a transformation. As the implications sank in, the crowd erupted into heated debate. Voices rose, some advocating for embracing this new evolution, others expressing fear of losing their identity. The discord grew, threatening to fracture the unity they had worked so hard to build. It was then that Dr. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with inspiration. "I have a proposal," she announced, her voice cutting through the clamor. The crowd fell silent, all eyes turning to her. "What if we pursue a selective evolution?" Lyra suggested. "We could allow a portion of our hybrid population to undergo this final transformation, while others maintain their current form. The assembly buzzed with renewed interest as Lyra elaborated on her plan. She explained how this compromise would allow them to harness the power needed to face future challenges while preserving their human Edosian heritage. This way, Lyra concluded, we maintain our diversity, our connection to our roots, while still embracing the potential of our future. The debate that followed was intense but measured. Colonists voiced their concerns, asked probing questions, and offered their own insights. Mina moderated the discussion, ensuring all voices were heard. As the assembly progressed, a consensus began to form. The colony recognized the wisdom in Lyra's proposal. It offered a balance between progress and preservation, a way to move forward without losing sight of who they were. When the time came to vote, the decision was clear. The colony would accept Lyra's plan for selective evolution. Volunteers were called for, and Lyra herself was the first to step forward. Other second-generation hybrids followed, their faces a mix of commitment and awe at the path before them. As preparations for the evolution process began, a new urgency gripped the colony. The cosmic event Patrick had warned about was no longer a distant threat. Energy waves rippled across the sky, visible even to the naked eye. Nearby star systems reported destabilization, their delicate balances thrown into chaos. The progenitors returned, their massive vessel casting a shadow over Alpha 1. They activated a protective barrier, shielding the planet and its neighboring systems from the brunt of the cosmic disturbance. In a specially prepared chamber, combining progenitor technology with seedship systems, the evolution process commenced. Mina watched as Lyra and the other volunteers entered chrysalis-like pods, their forms obscured by swirling energy. For 3 days, the colony held its breath. The pods pulsed with otherworldly power, reshaping the hybrids on a fundamental level. Mina barely left the chamber, her eyes fixed on the monitors, her heart racing with every fluctuation in the readings. On the 3rd day, as the cosmic storm raged outside their protected bubble, the pods began to open. Mina leaned forward, her breath caught in her throat as the first figure emerged. It was Lyra, but not as they had known her. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with cosmic energy. Her eyes, when they opened, held the depth of galaxies. As she stepped from the pod, the very air around her seemed to ripple with potential. One by one, the other volunteers emerged, each radiating with newfound power. They demonstrated abilities that defied imagination, manipulating matter with a thought, creating sparks of life in their palms. Lyra approached Mina, her movements fluid and graceful. "Mother," she said, her voice resonating with new harmonics, "we are ready." As the evolved hybrids joined forces with the progenitors, preparing to face the cosmic threat head-on, Mina couldn't help but marvel at the journey that had brought them here. From a fragile seed ship fleeing a dying Earth to this moment of cosmic significance, they had come so far. Yet as she watched Lyra coordinate with the progenitors, creating complex energy conduits to redirect the destructive forces, Mina knew their greatest challenges and triumphs still lay ahead.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.